Did I ask you to come on this?
Welcome everyone.
Okay, wait, you know what?
Hi, we are at Hines Chapel at Pitt University honoring the celebration of life and legacy of Mama Betty J. Tilman. We're about to unveil a beautiful photograph, not a photograph, a painting that has been done by Brandon Jennings, our esteemed artist here. So can we see it now?
Hi. Oh my
You're
God,
listening to her daughter. This is her daughter.
And we're at my mom's celebration of life, and we're here with Mayor Ed Gainey. And Brandon Jennings, it's so exciting, has created this marvelous, fantastic, amazing, and surprising illustration. And he's donated it. We don't know where it's going, but here we are, and we're going to unveil it now.
Oh, wow. Oh. Wow.
Wow, Brandon. Thank you, Brandon. Wow. Whoa. Is that magnificent or what? Can everybody see? Yeah. Wow. Oh, my. It just exceeds my expectations, Brandon. Now, Ken Love, who is an original member of the Intercultural House, and who also is an internationally known filmmaker. All of these people are very important. Before we even go any further, just let me introduce them. We have Mayor Ed Gainey. We have Kati Showman. I'm not doing titles, okay? We have Kati Showman, but I will say that she's a director of the nationality rooms at the University of Pittsburgh. We have Brother Melvin L. Hubbard L., who's the mayor's assistant. We have Better El Nafay, who is Mom's beloved godson. We have Oscar Petit, that's Judge Oscar Petit. And of course we have Ken Love, international award-winning filmmaker. And then over there we have Carlton Scott. And Carlton is the president of the Intercultural House, right? And he's also chair of the African Heritage Classroom Committee. And then we have Oba Eli Kihonia, and he is internationally known. He's a performer. He founded an organization, Africa Yay too?
Correct.
Okay, and then we have Dr. James Johnson. Put your hand up, James Johnson, make sure everybody sees you. And Mrs. Pamela Johnson, and noted for all of them. Oh, this is an international crowd here. That's what we have. And Reverend Rose Johnson Thompson, right? Afro-American Music Institute. Oba Eli's on the board. In the back there, we have Reverend Derek Tynes, international singer, performer, recording artist. He's chairman of the board of the Afro-American Music Institute. There we have Arande Sharif, who is Shona Sharif's son, right? Wow. Who also is give a round of applause, right? Who also is a drummer, who also is a dancer, who also is an advisor, and he's an advisor for academia and also an advisor for track. Okay, and then we have Reverend Charles Timbers. Now, I call him Chucky, right? He's just a phenomenal actor, right? Phenomenal human being, okay? All of these people are phenomenal human beings. And we have Dr. Buba Masawa. Say that. Dr. Buba Masawa. Everybody has that name right? No, if you're there, we can't see you. You're behind the picture. Okay, and then we're going to bring up Kim right here, and we're going to bring up Walt right here. We're going to bring up, that is playwright, internationally known Kim L. We're going to bring up Dr. Jerry McKinney. We're going to bring up Martha. Come on, let's do it now so we get for the photo. Shirley, come on up. Come on up. Oh, we have Dr. Larry Glasgow here. What an honor. He was filmed for the other night. Give him a round of applause. Come on up, Dr. Glasgow. Let's do this quickly. This is just magnificent. All right. So then we said, where's Dr. Glasgow?
Here.
Dr. Glasgow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put me in the back.
He's so tall. But he created the design, turn around, Dr. Glasgow created the design for the African Heritage Classroom, right? Okay, good. So go right there, or go right there for photo. Ken, if you could come over here, you have something very special that you want to create. Oh, you moved over. I need you to come here. Okay.
How you doing, Doctor?
I need you to be right here. Come on. Now, why am I orchestrating this now? Okay, wait, hold on. Can you just come? Can you just be a part of it? Okay. Right. This, you know who Kaki is, and he's gonna. You all will do it together. Just do it. Share responsibility. Okay. All right. Share responsibility. Now, okay. So now remember we're on Facebook Live. Ken, start talking. Talk loud.
Betty Tilman really changed my life with the Intercultural House. I was privileged to be a member of it, and when we went to Ghana in 1971 with the University of Pittsburgh, I got this kente cloth, and I have a picture that's very close to it of the boy weaving the kente cloth, and this is going to has a new home, which is going to be in the nationality African American classroom, I hope.
Well, yeah, I'm actually thinking in the display case, but we'll decide that later, but it will have an honored place along with the gifts, the new gifts that I've given as well. Right,
but this is wonderful because Betty is so colorful, and this gives her a splash to coordinate with your beautiful picture. Wow.
Thank you. Big round of applause. Wonderful, wonderful. Kim, take us out. All of the program people, if you're in the program, please now go to the back of the hall. Back of the hall. Back of the hall. Back of the hall.
We have music, and we have words. We have respect, and we have more than anything, the spirit of Mama Betty J. Tilman. My name is Kim Ill. I'm a playwright and an actor and an educator in the city. I am honored to be the MC of this program today, of this event, of this occasion. We're going to have music, African music, because that was in our blood. We're going to have happy stories. And in just a minute, we will hear drums and sounds and memories of what this campus is about when we mention Betty J. Tilman. Reverend Melony, hello? Are we ready? I know I can't pause like she does. I try. Come back, hurry up, come on. Let's do this right now. So she told me to talk until the drum started. If you have been affected or affected by Mama Betty Tilman, stand up, please. Stand up if she has affected your life, have touched your life in some way. Thank you. It is good to know that. You can have a seat now. She's touched my life by coming to my plays, by supporting me as an individual artist, by saying to me, you can do this, by allowing me to feel my African heritage. I grew up in the housing projects of Pittsburgh in the Hill District. And at one point, I didn't think that I would be who I am today because the television and all the media gave me a negative perception of who I am because of my skin color, because of my background, because of my heritage. But the African heritage movement enabled and enlightened many of us who have low self-esteem to be built up and to know that this is who you are. And when you come in from another place, yes, bring it up. We are going to joyfully feel the spirit of Mama Betty J. Tilman and the celebration of her life and legacy in our hometown of Pittsburgh, on the campus where she lived and worked and gave her life to those
spirit of our ancestors. From the north, from the south, from the west, to be with us. And we honor the entrance of this great lady to the home with our ancestors, with Malcolm X, with Martin Luther King, with Harriet Tubman, as well, watching over us as children of the African. We pour libation for the souls of all our brothers and sisters who departed. We call their names. If you can, you shout. Shona Sharif, Teojin, and Isemundu. If you have some, you can shout their names. I want to hear you.
Baxter, Philip Baxter,
Jill Jordan,
Carrie T. Collier, Mackenzie McFarland,
as we gather here, honoring their names, honoring their existence. We ask them to be with us as we put this great lady as a queen in our community. I might ask you if it's possible to sing with us. Kosi today, and I'm going to ask you to stand if it's possible, and we will, to Dr. Jamie, as we sing Kosi today. I say Harambe, Amanda, Jambo, Matondo, Ashe, 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 Ashe.
You all feel that in your spirit and your heart. And now this time, we will have Reverend Rose Johnson Thompson, accompanied by Dr. James Johnson, founder of the Afro-American Music Institute, an international performer. Welcome us to lift every voice and sing.
You please stand.
Would you please stand and let us sing this great anthem of liberty in the spirit of Betty Tilman, as she would have us sing it in clarion tone. All right? Lift this great anthem with your voices. Lift every voice and sing till everybody. Big round of applause for Reverend Rose Johnson Thompson and Dr. James Johnson, Afro-American Music Institute, celebrating 40 years.
Why are we here today? We are here to celebrate the life of an extraordinary visionary, an extraordinary woman, someone who has dedicated her life for the betterment of the community. Miss Betty J. Tilman, who has touched the lives of so many people for the betterment of her city. She unselfishly gave of herself and her time. We are here to celebrate the life, not the death, but the life of this extraordinary woman. Each of us are brought here for a reason. What type of legacy are you going to leave when you transition? Betty J. Tilman left a wonderful legacy, and it's exhibited by the people that are here, the distinguished people that are here. So let's celebrate the life of Betty J. Tilman.
Amen, amen.
My name is Chuck Tippers, as Melony called me, Chucky. I'm an actor, I'm an ordained minister, but I was a friend of Miss Betty J. Tilman.
And you're also a nurse practitioner.
Also a nurse practitioner. First African American nurse practitioner in the city of Pittsburgh.
All right, big round of applause.
I met Betty many years ago when I was an actor at Kung Fu Theater with my mentor and my second mom, Dr. Vanell Audrey Watson Lilly.
Woo!
I corresponded with Betty periodically, and then in 2017 I was with the Pittsburgh Opera when Sean Gibson and others put together a Summer King at the Benedum Center with the Pittsburgh Opera, and Betty J. Tilman and the Good Neighbors Project commissioned me to actually take a baseball bat and a baseball from that performance down to Dr. Lilly at Washington, D.C. when she was in the retirement home. Miss Tilman was, I don't know where she got the energy. you know, but she was always doing something. She was planning another event. So today what I'm going to do is read some excerpts from individuals who had sent their condolences and memories of Betty J. Tilman. First I have here.
So we're just going to start with Reverend Dr. Ron Peters, and then later in the program we'll do the other ones.
Okay.
Thank you.
Betty J. Tilman. Ron Peters says, a mother, Rhea, mentor, counselor, activist, leader, mystic, friend, gift of God, teacher. All of these laudatory titles, although accurate, only betray part of the story that is Betty J. Tilman's life and contributions to the betterment of our national and global society. Her dreams before, during, and following her 28 years at the University of Pittsburgh, her leadership in the community of Reconciliation Church as moderator of Pittsburgh Presbytery and chair of its Racial and Social Justice Committee, led her to inspire others in ways that systematically change lives and institutions for the better. Now, how does she do it? While the laudatory titles above give key insights to the great spirit she was among us, there is another characteristic that also sheds light on the gift of God her life proved to be for countless people touched by her love. Betty J. Tilman, truly a visionary. Vision, in this context, describes the power of sight as well as perceiving by clear thinking to imagine positive realities. Betty Tilman's unique powers of sight as well as perceiving by clear thinking to imagine positive realities reflected her awareness of confidence and in her oneness with the universe and its ultimate source. Variously understood as God, sadly, for too many people, our human reality is often shaped by tribe-focused, divisive, greed-oriented, and spiritually confused realities. Against this backdrop, fear and doubt, whether it's perception of any affinities or oneness with those immediately around us, much less a sense of oneness with a wider universe. This is true regardless of ethnicity, tribe, culture, geographic settings, socio-economic, or ideological content. Like all visionaries who inspire positive and uplifting outcomes, Ms. Tilman's genuine love for people, near or far, was infectious. Her capacity to perceive, dream of possibilities and actions that would improve the quality of life for other people embedded many to move beyond life-limiting barriers to achieve life-enhancing realities of what Martin Luther King Jr. called beloved community. Context where love, justice, mutual respect, and affirmation are the norm. Visionary personalities are documented in sacred writings. Moses, atop of Mount Sinai, perceiving possibilities that would move doubt and fear-filled people toward new possibilities of a better life. A post-Calvary Mary of Magdalene in the graveyard, perceiving new possibilities previously unthinkable. The Prophet Muhammad in a cave perceiving teachings of God. Beyond sacred writings, other visionaries like Harriet Tubman, Howard Thurman, Mary McLeod Bethune, Mahatma Gandhi, Ella Baker, Nelson Mandela, Angela Davis, or John Lewis, to name just a few, inspired others to move beyond boundaries towards the life-enhancing perspectives framed by love, justice, and hope. Betty J. Tilman's legacy stands among those visionaries. Her visionary perception, clear thinking, and actions enable others to see their oneness with the universe and more beyond life-limited situations to help change society for the better. Her legacy of hope and possibility of our spiritual inheritance. Now it is our turn. Peace is possible through compassion, deep listening, forgiveness, hope, and integrity and kindness, mercy, tenacity, and love.
All right now, thank you. That's Reverend Chucky Timbers giving the message of Reverend Dr. Ron Peters, who was the past president, he's internationally known, and he is the past president of the Pittsburgh Theological Seminary. I love that because I never would have said those things. Chucky, I'm going to need you to come right here and help me. Thank you. I never would have said those things, even though I knew all those things about my mother. It's not my place to say it. Hear that? So hold that for me, and then I'm going to hold that. So what I'm going to do is there's a really beautiful, beautiful woman. She's 92 years old. She wasn't even born yesterday. Her name is Carrie McCrae. Can you hear me back there?
No.
No, can't hear. Is the mic on?
Kiss the microphone.
Is the mic on? Can you hear me now? Yeah. Shut that. Wrong kind of music. Wrong kind of. Let's just imagine, you know what? Pharrell, happy, right? Happy. No, but something like that, right? Happy. So anyway, her name is Carrie McCrae, and we bring her into the room, and her son Stephen McCrae, because what she did was she told her memories from 1969 up until 1993 to Stephen, and he wrote them down. But before we do that, I'm just going to ask you to take 4 deep breaths. Because everybody knows that that's what I'm all about, is the breath. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Turn the mic up. Can you hear me in the back? You mean I have to keep this mic up here like this? All right, I know. All right, so 1, I want you to breathe in long. Deep breath. Breathe out long. Breathe in long. Breathe in long. Breathe out loud. Breathe in long. Breathe in long. Breathe out loud. Last one. Deep breath. Breathe in long. Breathe in long. Breathe out loud. Breathe out loud. Are you relaxed? Just want you to feel comfortable. Deep breaths. Everybody on the stage. So the first thing I think that Mrs. McCrae says, so I'm going to do this as her. My name is Carrie McCrae, and at age 92, I am so humble and honored to be able, upon the request of my daughter in spirit, Melody, to reflect and share just a few of the many fond and lasting memories that I have had of her mother and my friend of over 55 years, Betty Tilman. Betty and I met under somewhat precarious circumstances. This was the post-volatile 1960s and entering the more promising 1970s, of which Pittsburgh was in a transitional phase and was attempting to rebrand its image in every possible way, be it racially, economically, politically, and spiritually. Not necessarily in that order. Not necessarily. And not out of our guilt. It was because the times and many like us in the community at large, demanded a more inclusive cultural shift within the dynamics of everyday living in Pittsburgh and its surrounding communities. If my memory serves me correctly, it was in 1969 when the Pittsburgh Presbytery made a bold move and decided to create an interdenominational and interracial church located at Belfield and Fifth Avenue, which at the time was the Belfield Presbyterian Church. Anybody here remember that church?
No, I remember.
Okay. So that's the church that exists now, where they tore down the church and they have just the steeple there. So when you're at Fifth and Belfield, you see the steeple, and then there's condominiums, okay? Betty worked in an office space that the church rented at the University of Pittsburgh. As one of the founders of this new original experiment, Betty and I crossed paths often and soon became great acquaintances. That's all right. There we go. Soon the church evolved into two entities: the Community of Reconciliation, COR, and the University of City Ministries, UACM. We worked in tandem with the University of Pittsburgh and the open community, with various concerns focused on foreign student needs, especially centered in the area of student living, as well as being a safe haven for fellowship. Another fun addition and creative addition was this grand experiment of UACM, was the formation of a gospel choir. Betty and I used to be tickled at the fact that there was a Presbyterian gospel choir. Mrs. Salvage, you remember that, right? Another first. The choir suite consisted of church members, members of the community, as well as university students. Actually, UACM choir became quite good and began performing in the Pittsburgh and surrounding areas. Eventually, this was the springboard in which the summer of 1972, there was an opportunity for the choir to visit East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. It was Betty who drew from her exceptional coordinating and diplomatic skills throughout the University of Pittsburgh and various international embassies that helped make the trip possible. As Betty and I were landing in Kenya, we were super excited, but also cautious, because we were quite aware of our dual roles as tourists, as well as chaperones for these 26 young, mostly, choir members, who were so excited and eager to be returning to the motherland. Without taking in full account that this was still a foreign country. As the days wore on and Betty and I depended on each other more and more and developed an even better perspective as to what our role actually was while we were visiting the motherland, yeah, we got the message because it was challenging. And as we were leaving Tanzania to return back to the United States, the entire group realized that we were leaving a country that was part of a vast, vast, vast continent, and in reality was only 10 to 12 years removed from gaining their independence from colonial rule. And that was truly, truly an eye-opening experience. I will say this, the journey was absolutely one of the highlights of both of our lives. Soon after, with inspiration from the journey to the motherland, Show Me the Way, UACM Gospel Choir's first and only album was produced and released as a joyful love offering. Now, as the months and years moved on, Betty and I became close friends. We talked and talked about the politics of the day, the 70s, apartheid South Africa, Nelson Mandela still being imprisoned, the United States and Israel still supporting South Africa, and then there was the Watergate tapes. Anybody remember Watergate? Anybody here young enough? Oh, to remember Watergate? Yeah. Okay. 1973, Roe versus Wade becoming law. Boy, did that come full circle. The Apollo moon landing. And in 1975, the Vietnam War ended. I'm alive for something. We appreciated Fred Rogers. Yes, that is the Rogers, who would eventually become a national and international celebrity. He was a part of the children's ministry in COR and would on any given day walk from his office in the QED building just to say hello to Betty and me. He would strike up a conversation and then leave with his dream. I love you just the way you are. 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 Everybody say that. I love you just the way you are. Can you remember that? Don't you? It was supposed to be up here. You got to do what you do, right?
I was always the bad guy.
I know.
I was always getting in trouble.
So yes. Becky and I were leading a conversation of activities of creating a better world and operating as foot soldiers in the 70s. It was about this time that I decided to use my entrepreneurial skills and open up an African clothing store in downtown Pittsburgh, where Betty was a frequent visitor. Now here's what happened. She would get Nigerian vendors and bring them to me, but in the back of the store is where students of color met to plan their activities, because the police were all, the Duquesne police were always after them. It was at this time we began to explore many new things in our environment. We worked along with many others in helping to bring into existence the African Heritage Classroom at the University of Pittsburgh's Cathedral of Learning. We enjoyed plays written by local and nationally known playwrights Rob Penny and Dr. Vernell Lilly, attended numerous community events. This was a happy time in our lives. Although I didn't know exactly what Betty's job was at the University of Pittsburgh, I did observe that she always had around her an eclectic array of international visitors. They ranged from heads of state, dignitaries, educators, as well as their families and students. Sam, some were right there. Some of them were right there. Some of them were out there too. I call on Better, who came here when he was it 12 or 13 Better? 12. And lived up the street from Mom. And Better graduated from Wilkinsburg High School and went on to graduate undergraduate school at the University of Pittsburgh, and then got his MS in engineering from the University of Pittsburgh. He's at the University of Pittsburgh and all that. So at any rate, it became more apparent that Betty's role, right? Her involvement as a liaison, concierge, and close to many of these very important people. We didn't know what her title was other than liaison, but we just knew she was important. And she was the right person for it because she was a Renaissance woman. It was in this atmosphere that our friendship flourished even more. Betty was aware that in subsequent years, my husband and I traveled back to Africa. So at times when Betty would be hosting a foreign visitor, primarily of African descent, she would call and say, very matter of fact, Carrie, I have something going on. Guess who? We would have meet and greet, sometimes hosted our home. Martha Conley, you know all about this too, don't you? Okay. Jerry and Mary McKinney, you know about it too, right? And then we would enjoy some of the most spiritually enlightening conversations and cultural exchanges ever. One of my most memorable moments with Betty came when she called to tell me that the First Lady of Botswana, if you know where Botswana is, please raise your hand. Botswana, Africa. First Lady of Botswana, Gladys Olympie-Masiri, was visiting the University of Pittsburgh. She had come to give a speech about a boys' school that she was building in Botswana. And after she spoke, she wanted to spend time with an African-American man. family. I was both flattered and excited and instantly agreed. Later that evening, Betty brought the First Lady Botswana, mind you, along with her lady-in-waiting and her bodyguard to my home in Belsuva. Right? Of course, I told my two children still living in Pittsburgh, Stephen and Jeffrey, and Donna and Sharia about this chance encounter, and they hurried over to meet the group. Everything was surreal at first, but after a short period of time, it became apparent we were just having a conversation with everyday people. That's all we are, all of us, everyday people. No one here is more important than the other one. That's what we're going to believe. That's how we live. That's what we are being teaches us. Okay. So I'm just going to move through. This is the last important part. Even though it's all important, I just can't do it all, right? In 1993, there was a decision made as a part of the fundraiser for the 25th anniversary of the Community Reconciliation existence to have a concert at the Carnegie Music Hall featuring the internationally acclaimed acapella singing group Sweet Honey in the Rock. The congregation, though small, was very excited. Very, very excited. However, winter concerts were not the best sellouts for venues in Pittsburgh. There was gossip. Murmurs about the concert was being whispered throughout membership. You know how we do. Always trying to rain on somebody's parade. But to make a long story short, January 1993 came and the concert had to be delayed. It had to be delayed because the deadline was so very long. The concert was late starting because it was a full house. Gerald, do you remember that? Were you there for that? You were there for that. There's Gerald Savage, one of the members of Community Reconciliation, which was very important to Mom. So, again I say, thank you, Betty Tilman, for allowing us your energy to flow through me so that I can share your story as only sisters experience it. Peace and love, Karen McCrae, as told to Stephen McCrae. Can we please give Karen McCrae, 92 years old, a big round of applause?
Giving us background and story for connection. At this time, I would like to bring to the mic Brother Melvin Hubbard Gill, Community Advisor to the Mayor of the City of Pittsburgh. Can you please come up?
Greetings, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm honored to be here today to say a few words for introduce our own there. We have remarks in the city proclamation. I had the pleasure of getting to know Miss Betty, and she allowed me to call her confessedly Sister Betty. So I want to refer to her as Sister Betty.
Can you hear him in the back of the room?
Could be loud. And I certainly want to greet you with the pencil of love that she certainly gave us all the time. I also want to say that it is, again, an honor to do this. The Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, chapter 8. Jesus reveals to the people of the city of verse 11 states, and when man honors man, he honors Allah. What man does for man, he does for all. So to celebrate Miss Betty today, I'd like to call her Sister Betty. Let's continue to pour love into her. Let's continue to bring the spirit of love around this ceremony and this celebration today. And I'm honored Sister Betty today with the highest honor I can give her by displaying my Moorish God this morning in her honor. For that, we need to clap for her. And that means the other factor.
You stand up and clap for that because it's not something that's not often. Show your love. And at this time, it gives me real pleasure to bring up someone who I consider one of the best friends that anyone could have. He's your mayor, he's my mayor. He's your friend, he's my friend. He's full of integrity, honesty, character to go with that, and vision. I bring to you the Honorable Edward C.
Where is it? Because do you want to be up there, or would you like to? You prefer to hold it up there? Yeah. Okay. Because everybody has the proclamation, so you can just talk extemporaneously if you want. Okay. All right.
So, first, thank you. Good morning, everybody. How you doing?
Good morning.
You hear me in the back? You know, you've heard a lot of great testimonies when it comes to Sister Betty Tilman. You know, when I tell people all the time that one thing I've learned in life is that there's no joy without pain. And there's not no love that comes out of that. And the greatest thing that I think that we can leave in life is a labor of love. Because I believe when you have a labor of love, you plant seeds that changes everything that you touch, you enhance everything that you touch, and you empower everything that you touch. And out of this labor of love that we give, that Miss Betty gave, she helped a lot of people. She informed them. But more importantly, she poured into them. She poured into them the empowerment and love that they needed in order to grow in life. I always tell people, the greatest gift that we can live this earth is the labor of love. Because your labor of love goes beyond your legacy. A lot of people say that the labor of love is your legacy. I say the labor of love is the legacy that others carry for you. So once you poured into somebody, and then they poured into somebody else, and they poured into somebody else, they may not know where that labor of love began, but they know how it empowered their life. And when you have someone that can birth out of labor of love, you can teach people how to get through pain to find joy. You can teach people how to overcome trauma to be healed. You can teach people how to overcome ignorance, to be more receptive. You remove biases. You remove racism. You put in love, respect, dignity, and honor. I tell people all the time, the only thing you know is your own culture, then your time on earth has been shallow. The more culture that you understand, the more culture that you respect, the deeper your knowledge is, the stronger your love is, the more your giving is, the more you birth. That's what Betty Tilman was all about. So the labor of love that she left today and forevermore, that I see in the people that spoke about her, that is pouring the same love that she poured in them into other people, they may not never know where that love started. But they'll always be grateful. God bless you. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Ed Gainey. You all know it was a proclamation that everyone should have already. The proclamation was for our sister Betty J. Tilman. At this time, I would like to introduce Cathy. Am I saying your first name correctly? Cathy Show. Yes. Director, University of Pittsburgh Nationality Winners. Thank you.
May her memory be a blessing. I did not have the opportunity to meet Miss Tilman. The blessings I receive from her are through continuing the work and the legacy of her work with the African Heritage Room Committee. I'm Betty Tilman. I'm the director of the Nationality Rooms and Intercultural Exchange Programs. And Ms. Tilman, as you've heard, was a founding member of the African Heritage Room and the committee, along with Dr. Uba Masawa and others who are or have been mentioned. Since the committee began their work in 1991, the African Heritage Room Committee has supported 52 scholarships for scholarly and experiential endeavors in Africa. The countries in which students and scholars have conducted research and participated in study abroad and internships include Congo, Ethiopia, the Gambia, Ghana, Kenya, Madagascar, Mali, Morocco, Namibia, Nigeria, Senegal, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. Ms. Tilman's legacy has profound impact, not just beyond Pittsburgh, but really beyond the United States and into the world. I'll share a poem that I hope all of us sort of can center ourselves as we celebrate her life, and I hope that it is as meaningful to you as it was to me as I learned about Ms. Tilman and her life and legacy. The poem is Epitaph by Merritt Malloy. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother, walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live on in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away.
Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to bring to the mic Dr. William Tita. Are you going to read for us? You're going to read? I'm not reading. That's what you do?
Dr. William Tita could not be here. He was an international business consultant, Northeastern University professor, retired. I am a humble and cheerful adorer of BJ. Betty J was always pursuing one underlying theme, intercultural exchange and appreciation from several angles. She was a pillar of our Intercultural House project, the ICH, assisting us to meet and surpass the 20% international students quota. She worked tirelessly with us to identify and arrange destinations, most notably Ghana, Afghanistan, and more, for the travel and work program of the ICH project. The Nationality Rooms African Heritage Classroom Initiative was the sweetener from his perspective. She was also a cheerleader as he sought to integrate the Pittsburgh Black business community into the fabric of Pitt's B School and the university as a whole, the SCP. As you can see, it matters less the angle from which we choose to honor and celebrate her life and legacy. We will all end up at the core, a champion of intercultural exchange. I am pleased to be an aspect of this movement.
Our next speaker is Ludwig Luddy Hagen. Is that you too?
That's me too. He could not be with us today. Upon hearing the news, Ludwig Luddy Hayden, University of Pittsburgh, A&S 66, Education 69, wrote, I was quite saddened to learn of Betty's passing, but immediately buoyed by the thought that we might find a way to celebrate her life and work at the University of Pittsburgh. I first met Betty not long after entering Pitt as an undergrad. I was fairly naive then about international affairs, even as included in an academic environment. Betty was sort of an informal connection to the world of foreign students at Pitt and the true significance of the nationality rooms. After spending several years as an undergraduate and then graduate student and staffer at the College of Arts and Sciences, I ultimately joined the private sector. I was working in public affairs at the Pittsburgh headquartered Gulf Oil Corporation when Betty approached me with an idea of sponsoring a Pittsburgh speaking tour for Roots author Alex Haley. We were successful in mounting the effort and ultimately raising the funds for I'm telling you, these smartphones. After spending several years, Alex Haley, we were successful in mounting the effort and ultimately raising the first major funding to establish the African Heritage Classroom as part of the Nationality Rooms program. My work with Betty during this period was confirming of her long-standing passion for the intercultural exchange programs, the Nationality Rooms, and the work of the African Heritage Classroom Committee. Betty was well known in Pittsburgh for her support to a number of groups and organizations. However, this work at the university was at the core of her passion. It is most fitting that her work with the Nationality Rooms, intercultural exchange programs, and the African Heritage Classroom be the core of any celebration of her life and legacy.
Chuck said that's his last one. Dr. Jerry McKinney is our next speaker. Thank you very much. Let's as he walks on the stage, let's acknowledge Dr. Jerry McKinney is retired professor, Graduate School of Public and International Affairs, the University of Pittsburgh.
When one speaks, we always want to say, I'm delighted to be here. But I'm really not delighted to be here because we will no longer have the presence of Ms. Betty Tilman. Typically, most of us refer to her because she was so informal as Betty. She made the world a better place to all whose lives she has touched. Betty was never without a smile. She was a good listener and always with empathy and a willingness to explore options. One of the things Betty really adored and liked, she liked to entertain. I'm sure many of you have been at a place at least once or many times more, because she got a great thrill out of seeing people happy. She always had a deep desire to aid and help. A great example in which I was involved, there was a student whose interaction with Betty allowed her to tell Betty that she had failed a PhD course. And Betty called me to inquire if I knew anyone who was willing to critique her literature and the problems in her field. I said to Betty, I knew of no one that might be available. And I was surprised when she asked me that. She said, Professor McGinney, might it be too much of my imposing upon you if I ask you to consider the student's plea? So I said to Betty, because of my many hectic schedules, including a manuscript I was about to complete and send away, I didn't know. However, I said I have one requirement. If I undertake this for her, I can only meet with her from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Sunday. That is every Sunday for 6 months to a year. Believe me, I didn't think that the students would accept it. But I told Betty I would like the answer the next day. And the next day, Betty came to my office, and I was wondering why Betty made this specific trek to my office. And she said the student gladly accepted. The student, I went on to complete a PhD. I know Betty is looking down on us today with a joyful smile, knowing that she has done good deeds, so much so that the unmoved mover would bestow the greatest blessing as our reward for having lived a good life. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McGinney. It is now time for us to have a musical selection from Reverend Derek Tynes, who's going to give us joyful noise. Is that right?
Yes.
Joyful noise.
Something.
Because this is a celebration of the life and legacy.
It's very moment, sure.
Yes.
I am just honored to be here to stand and sing for Mother, our mother. And I'm just thankful that I was able to be in the world when she was in the world. That I passed across. And so the song I'm going to sing, I think, is indicative of what she has given to many of us. It's an old hymn, church. May the work I do speak for me. May the work I've done speak for me. When I've done the best I can, and nothing can be said, may the work I've done speak for me. May the service I've given speak for me. May the service I've given, may it speak for me. When I've done the best that I can, and nothing more that can be said, may the service I've given, oh Lord, may speak for me. Oh, may the life I live, any witnesses in here, may speak for me. May the life I live, may it speak for me.
University of Pittsburgh alumni, Professor Washington of Jefferson College.
All right. The words of our leaders and elders are words of wisdom.
We need you closer to the microphone. Thank you.
The words of our leaders and our elders are words of wisdom. I'm honored to be here and perhaps facing the mountain task of following great performances and speeches. I want to appreciate everyone. Reverend McGant, your mother is so beloved, and we are excited to be here. So I have little to learn to say. Perhaps not able to justify the 2 minutes I've been given to do that. But my message is the international group and Mother Africa, a tribute to Miss Betty Tilman. As we gather here today, the words of recognition and tribute to Miss Betty Tilman are much easier than bearing her passing. To start with Miss Betty, you left us, for your life endures. We remain in deep pain
but you showed us how to be tough and exemplary through the years. Since my first contact with you from Nigeria in 1982, and that I'm one of those students, and how I got to know Ms. Tilman was I was applying to the Graduate School of Public and International Affairs. Professor McGeaney was my mentor and professor, and I needed to apply. And they said, send a check. And in Nigeria, we don't have checks that we cash here. So somebody said, send the money to Ms. Tilman. So I put the money in the envelope, and I told her I need my obligation done. So she wrote a check in place of the money. And so when I came here as a young student, I met her in 1983, finally when I got here, and I was honored by her and Professor Glasgow, who is here with the Nationality Committee. So I was a graduate student when they were doing the work, when Glasgow wanted me to suggest where he could go to Nigeria, and I still remember the story about Pepe, he was given hot food with hot pepper, and he said, what is pepper? So, anyway, she did a wonderful job, and Larry Glass was here, and many others worked there. But, yeah, she made things sound and look normal, and indeed very reassuring always, including her own last few months alive. Ms. Tilman, you built futures for many young minds, and bridges across the world, and especially the African diaspora bridge. While many people gave florid speeches about African Americans and Africa, you simply exemplified the relationship by nurturing African students, scholars, and professionals in Pittsburgh. You never lost any hope, even with the clear lack of understanding of the essence of unity and African identity among the two groups. Your love for humanity brought people from around the globe to you, thus making you the international glue without the great fanfare and notoriety that you so deserve. Most people would have claimed the popularity and fame in helping others, but you chose grace and kindness from your heart with full joy and happiness. I wish I, and hopefully the world too, had your great determination and desire to help others, as well as offer friendship, understanding, guidance, loving care, and true humanity to every person we came across like you did. We lost you, even with a life fully lived and acknowledged by hundreds of others. However, you laid enough foundation in endurance, family ties, care, love, encouragement, support, unity, courage, and bravery. The Reverend Melony McGant, your daughter, has inherited great values to carry on with your work. Your great sense of history attracted the African diaspora to so many events. Attracted the African diaspora to so many events that you initiated and successfully organized in the Pittsburgh area. Ms. Betty, your inspiration is profound and enduring. Your positive thoughts, encouragements, laughs, and comforting smiles, even in difficult situations, kept many international students reassured and hopeful in navigating the American cultural landscape. You always found ways and means of addressing critical issues and questions for everyone, most times with your hilarious sense of humor. I will fondly remember you and miss you dearly. Our condolences to the whole family. Thank you for the honor.
First of all, at the end, we'd like to get a picture with our entire group. I just want to acknowledge Dr. Larry Glasgow. little bit. I need to say that, you know, Mom served on the board of the Afro-American Music Institute for 30 years. People here in this room, all of you are like extended family. And I just have to acknowledge, of course, Jackie Dixon sitting in front with the So we're going to create a section at the end. We want to move quickly through the program so that anyone who's here that wants to will be able to speak. And we have a big ending, okay? Right? So you'll just be able to speak a few words, but you will be acknowledged. So we're going to try to, we must be out of this beautiful, beautiful space by 11:20. So let's all be mindful of the time. Dr. Sharif, you will be a part of the ending blessing. You'll be doing the ending blessing with Oba. All right, just want to let you know. Thank you. Martha?
Good morning. I hope you can see me.
Would you prefer the mic or you want the...
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Like Betty, I am vertically challenged, so I didn't want to be a disembodied voice. First of all, I'd just like to thank Melanie for inviting me to speak. It's a great honor. Betty was a wonderful friend of mine. And first of all, don't call her Betty, call her Betty. You will have to climb into my Wayback Machine to hear about Betty Tilman. I met Betty in 1968. It was the third day of my enrollment in law school. There were 7 women in my class, which was an improvement.
Yeah. Is there, where's the hand mic? Would you please hand her the mic?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Turn it on. Oh, Reverend Derek, thank you for helping.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Hold it close to you.
Okay.
Turn it on.
No.
It's not on?
1, 2, 3. Gotta hold it to the mouth.
I had been there long enough. I met her somewhere around the 3rd day of my classes.
I can't hear you.
And I'll try to speak up. I'm sorry, I'm soft-spoken. I had been there long enough to know that I was way over my head. There were only 7 women in my class, and I was the only black woman. Betty was working at the Graduate School of Public and International Affairs, where she helped hundreds of international students navigate their way through the University of Pittsburgh. Betty was an internationalist. She has hundreds of friends around the world. She loved to travel and was always going abroad. She was a godsend to me at Pitt because I felt very much alone. I hate to think how I might have fared without Betty to lean on and help me navigate the Pitt campus. Betty was busy. Name a progressive black organization in Pittsburgh, and Betty probably belonged to it. She was a staunch member of the NAACP, on the board of the Afro-American Music Institute. We were both charter members of the Edmund B. McKenzie branch of the SALA, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, founded by Carnegie Woodson in 1915. Betty was dedicated to Black history. She was a connector. She was always trying to bring the like minds together, and she was delighted when her connections hit it off. Betty and I had a circle of close friends, and I'm sure many of you are in the audience, and I'm sure many of you remember Jackie Mullins and Mega Springer Kemp. Renell Lilly was a very close friend of hers as well. Sharon Smith and I had a close circle of mutual friends, and Sharon Smith and I were good friends of Betty's. Sharon and I were college roommates at Waynesburg College, and we both majored in French. Sharon went on to teach French for many years in Pittsburgh public schools, but she also taught adult classes at CCAC. I decided one day that I was going to take her class as a refresher, so Betty decided that she would join me. Sharon and I still laugh about it because Betty would come to class listening to Spanish on her cassette tape. The class started at 5:30. Betty would come in and sit down and promptly fall asleep. Sharon would wake her up at 8:30 and take her home. We teased her about that, but it didn't alter her behavior. Betty may have learned some Spanish, but she certainly didn't learn any French in that class. My friendship with Betty enriched my life and the lives of many, many others. I will not mourn, I will celebrate. She created a truly wonderful life. Thank you.
So Martha is a retired attorney from U.S. Steel, but then she does this work. She goes and visits Mumia, and she went with Bishop Tutu to visit Mumia. And, you know, all of you are doing such interesting things. And that is part of Mom's legacy of activism, that you all are present and doing for other people. So I just really want to thank all of you. Hi, Reggie.
Thank you very much.
Comfortable up there, or what do you need?
Thank you, Dr. Martha, and Dr. Attorney Martha Conley, especially for letting us know how to pronounce that. Our next speaker is Dr. James Johnson, founder of the Afro-American Music Institute, international performer. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just going to stand right here. You heard His Excellency refer to Mother Betty. Betty was everybody's mother, especially those who were under her age. For those of you who are colleagues, she was everybody's sister. I was told that when I first came to Pittsburgh, I believe in '76, my wife will correct me if I'm wrong, that I will be staying with the ambassador to foreign students for the University of Pittsburgh. Oh, what is that? So Betty took me in to her apartment. I think it was not far from here, somewhere on campus.
On Dietrich Street?
Oh, Dietrich?
Dietrich.
Okay, Dietrich. And there were other students there who were foreign students. She was always taking people in, always helping people. And when I say she was everybody's mother, I thought when I left home, that I left my mother behind me. Betty had a way of telling you what she was going to do. She didn't ask. A lot of times, so what did she have? You know, but you know what? I did. I did it. When I first came to Pittsburgh in '77, Betty found me a house. I had a wife, and I believe it was 4 kids.
Can we see the wife?
Well, you're going to see what she sings, right?
Huh?
She's going to be singing.
Oh, she's going to sing. Okay.
Yeah, okay. You asked her to sing. All right, okay. You know, I'm probably going to sit down, but I'm one that believes that we transform. I know we need this planet, but Betty's here now. I've been told by many scientists that we're made of molecules. You know, you can't really destroy molecules. We transform. Going forward, those of you who are children, she's going to still be watching you. We want to see she's watching us from heaven. She's here today, hearing everything we have to say. And I know for one, every move I make, I'm going to have to be careful with it, because I know she's going to always be looking down on me with that finger and that walk she had.
right, our next speaker, our last speaker before we have other speakers, is Miss Regina Child McPhee. Is it McPhee or McPhee?
So wait, so I have to, before you can, just let me do this, because this is important. One day, Mom was in her office in Bruce Hall, and I went in and the secretary told me, oh, you know, she's busy. There's someone in there. You can't go in right now. And I heard this voice, yeah, girl! I was like, well, it doesn't sound like there's a foreign student in there. You know, I looked and, you know, I saw somebody that's not Chinese, but it was just the voice. I mean, it was so soulful. It wasn't like my voice at all, right? And then later, I found out when I got to meet her, it was Ms. Regina Child McPhee. Give her a big round of applause. So that was like in 1972.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Perfect. Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I want to thank my friend Melony McGant for including me in her mother's memorial service. It is an honor to be part of the distinguished list of guests. I first met Betty at the International Student Social Gatherings in the 1970s here at Pitt. While there, I met Ivar Arena from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, who wanted me to read the following quote. I was very sad to know that Betty had passed away. I can say that I'm grateful for all the help and support that I received from her during my years here at the University of Pittsburgh for my graduate work from 1970 to 1972. End of quote. Betty and Melony welcomed me into their home, and I met some fascinating people through them. One of them was Dr. Selma Burke, a world-renowned sculptor whose achievements include designing the diamond. I was in awe of meeting this African-American female trailblazer from the 1940s.
I can't hear you, Red.
I said I was in awe of meeting Dr. Selma Burke, an African-American female trailblazer from the 1940s and 50s.
That's Selma Burke who designed the Roosevelt dime?
Yes. Okay. As a result of the many livages, well, through her, this exposure, this amazing exposure, and as a result of the many lively discussions that I had with Betty, she inspired me to want to leave a mark in this book. And I was a young, naive student here at Pitt, but she was amazing and she inspired me. Betty encouraged my interest in civil rights, which led me to my career in Washington, D.C., in reducing employment discrimination at the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I want to share an appropriate biblical passage, a synopsis from Ecclesiastes. For everything there is a season and a time and purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. This is a time to dance to a beautiful, loving soul who walked among us and blessed us. Thank you, Betty J. Tilman, for all the people you touched, and especially me. We love you and we shall miss you. I know that Miss Betty is in heaven now talking to the angels. She's motivating them, she's energizing them, she is spreading her love all around. Miss Betty, you go, girl.
Thank you so much. Now, at this time, we do have a musical selection, and it is by our national vocalist, Mrs. Pam Johnson and Dr. James Johnson, co-founders of the Afro-American Music Institute, also known as the AAMI.
But you know what, while you're getting ready, I just have to say is, you know, the Portis, Blakey families in the house, everyone here is important. But when Reggie mentioned Dr. Selma Burke, you know, it reminded me of all of this connection. And I want to bring Tyrone backwards into the room, who is in the heaven realm with Mom and Dr. Selma Burke. And I just want to thank the Blakey family and the Portis family and all of you the Johnsons, for all the beautiful things that you do. AAMI, celebrating 40 years.
I'm singing this song as if this is Betty singing, because this is what Betty was all about. It was helping. Helping people, whatever the need was. As my husband said,
Tilman's living was not in vain. So we have next as a speaker, Mr. Walt Hales, retired business owner, executive, and product developer, and activist.
Well, comparing me as an activist to Betty isn't really a comparison. But she certainly was a motivator in that area. So I want to move along here because time is short. I'm going to just share a small slice of Betty Tilman's life in her later years. When Betty read about a Ms. Daniel Brown, Mother J.B. Brown, who died in questionable ways at Duquesne University, she heard about her camping at Freedom Corner and her being on a hunger strike. And as soon as she read this, and happened to be there, she turned around and she said, I have to go down there. I have to go down there. And the next day, this was at night, she was down there. And I want to tell you, Betty at the time was 86 and had been told that she was using about 10% of her heart. Now, Betty cared about a lot of things, but central to all of it was people. Her mind was always stirring and coming up with projects to help to fix the community, or to work on a problem, or to support the development or growth of some institution. Often when I knew her, or read it often, it involved preserving the legacy of our people, teaching our children, helping to push forward a progressive political agenda. She wanted to get African American girls to see what African American women could achieve in difficult situations. For example, she wanted to bring attention to African American women pilots. That was a project of hers when she got older. She didn't come to fruition because of her age. She wanted to preserve our past, raise the visibility of our achievements in overcoming persecution. Historic Fairview Park was the only black-owned park in Pennsylvania. And it was an amusement park at the time because we couldn't go to other parks. We couldn't go to Kennywood. And Betty went out there, looked at it, met the owners, and she had an idea of putting a stage there. Now this was even after what I spoke about earlier. So it was, her health was declining. And, that really couldn't come to fruition. There were some other issues with that also.
Well, so we're going to take the high road and we're going to be joyful. And you're going to wrap up whatever it is right there.
Okay. She wanted to promote and spotlight the healthy. I just want to show you how stirring her mind was. She was always into doing something. She wanted to promote and spotlight the Healthy Village Learning Institute, founded by and led by Keith Murphy. So to attract more funding, this place of learning with African-centered child development. It was a program in the Keith's Court, had murals on the walls.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
Yes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes of my...
You're in 4.
Okay. Well, listen, I just want to say to you, I'm going to wrap this up right now. Okay.
Because see, these people in the audience, some of them want to speak. We need to make.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are so special to me.
I know. Well, there was a lot of other things I wanted to share. I thought I could speak quickly enough, but apparently not. But I just want to say, with regards to those two institutions, I was going to tell another institution, very positive, she got more out of those engagements than you can imagine. She got a twofer in one, she got a fourfer in another, actually promoting 4 things in one engagement, including her beloved Renelle. So as I said, and I'm ending now, as I said in the tribute in reflection, Betty was a dear friend and a mentor. She had ceaseless energy with a mind as sharp as a hunter's knife. Her vision was insight. She looked into problems and the needs of so many people of different races and ethnicities. She was a champion of her culture and of her people, making history while trying to preserve it and share it. She was a person who cared about others, overcome the harshness of racism, understanding the dignity, culture, and intellectual contributions of Africans and African Americans. She was an extraordinary good neighbor.
Miss Shirley.
And our next speakers, can you respectfully speak no longer than 2 minutes? If you have something written down, try to give it from your heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Melody, for asking me to speak. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I wear this cap of Betty's in remembrance of her love of sparkle, bling, and bright and bold colors. Betty J. Tilman was a close and dear friend of Dr. Ernest James Whitley, who, 41 years ago, became the father of my daughter. I attended the University of Pittsburgh back in the 70s, but I didn't know Betty then. However, after parting company with Ernest in 2004, Betty and I became intimate friends throughout these last 18 years. Betty was a visionary and always saw the good and potential development in everything she was a part of and could think of. She and I did a lot of activities together: movies, plays, eating at various restaurants, church activities, shopping, fundraising for causes, hosting, cooking for, and attending parties. Dear friends with Jackie Mullins, Afro-American Music Institute supporter, and she hosted tributes for Dr. Lloyd Bell and Dr. Vernell Lilly. Betty was compassionate, considerate, determined, diligent, diplomatic, empathetic, motivational, non-judgmental, optimistic, practical, resourceful, remarkable, generous in encouragement and support, sharp, sincere, positive, dynamic, truthful, patient, a believer in Almighty God, a good listener, not criticizing nor complaining, loving, understanding, versatile, witty, trustworthy, warm-hearted, complimentary, and just a fantastic person. Betty, your friendship and love will live in my heart and spirit always. Thank you.
Give us a prize for 2 minutes. You could have got it right now. You gave us a 2 minutes on the nose. Next is Professor Jerry Dickerson, Associate Professor of Law, University of Pittsburgh Law School.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Jerry's not here. His brother is went into the hospital.
Okay, so he's not here. Mr. Thomas Wesley Brooks, President, African American Alumni Council, the AAAC, University of Pittsburgh. Can we have a round of applause?
Good morning, everyone. Hey, I'm Thomas Brooks, President of the Pitt African American Alumni Council. Our purpose and mission is to promote a spirit of community, loyalty, and support among African American alumni, help them grow their love in connection with the University of Pittsburgh, and then ultimately we encourage the recruitment, retention, and graduation of African American students. Like our mission, Betty's mission was all about helping students and anyone in the community. She was a pillar of the community, and she understood partnerships. And as many of you know, the African Heritage Room Committee Scholarship was created in 1992 to provide summer study abroad scholarship awards to University of Pittsburgh graduate or undergraduate students for study in Africa. And what a great idea that is. And you know, the scholarship has supported so far 52 students to study in Africa, places such as Ethiopia, my father's country of Kenya, Morocco, Nigeria, etc. Many other countries.
And can I just say that Mom was the first scholarship chair? She was the first scholarship chair for the African Heritage Classroom.
And so the scholarship, the African Heritage Room Committee Scholarship, ensures that Betty's spirit lives on. We encourage you to donate to the scholarship in the name of Betty J. Tilman. You should see a sheet at the entrance that tells you exactly how to do that. And the scholarship makes an enormous difference in the lives of students and creates a new generation of leaders. I personally have been to 38 countries, 7 continents. I've been to Africa 5 times. And I can tell you that when you travel, you gain a deeper understanding of international issues and you develop cultural sensitivities. Traveling helps you learn to see things from new perspectives, builds your confidence, and gives you deeper empathy for others. So despite the loss of Betty Tilman, she is still having an impact on the community that she cared about. My heart is filled with optimism and hope for our Pitt students and our beloved university. We'll continue to focus our minds, hearts, and spirit to make the University of Pittsburgh even more effective and impactful. So again, we urge you to donate to the African Heritage Room Committee Scholarship in the name of Betty J. Tilman.
Donations are needed and always would, and we also have right now coming to our podium the Honorable Oscar J. Jr. District Judge, African Heritage Classroom Committee support.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm bringing greetings from the district court. My lovely wife Sheila is sitting here today. As a matter of fact, it's supposed to be in court right now. We're supposed to be sent bond, and those folks all got arrested last night. But Betty Tilman said, no, you are going to be here. And I was able to get out of that. But I'll be as brief as I can for the sake of time. When we talk about Miss Betty Tilman, there's certainly a lot to say, and you all have heard much of it. But I've encountered her many times in my life, at many events. She knew that during one of the fundraisers for the African Heritage Cultural Committee that there were some pictures that I had. And whenever she would see me out, she would ask for those pictures. Sometimes I would be, oh man, here comes this Betty, she's going to have to do those pictures. So when you are the curator of your mom's stuff who is now deceased, you know sometimes that stuff is not easy to find.
Well, okay, so we really need to just bring your mom into the room because she's in the heaven realm with Mom. But his mom is Bertha Petit, and she too was one of the founding members of the African Heritage Classroom Committee.
All right.
Okay, big round of applause. I noticed that another one of the officers had joined us, Donna Alexander, the secretary, African Heritage Classroom Committee, is here. Big round of applause.
As a result of having to work through Mom's stuff, and when Melody said, you know, I need you to say a few words, I knew this Betty was still around. So I had to go back to that garage and start looking. And I ran into a treasure trove of things. I mean, thank God for the Pittsburgh Court. Who else would cover the black community and everything that's going on?
That's right, that's right.
You know, the OIC Women's Auxiliary that my mom was a part of, the Black Women's Political Crusade. I ran into an article on Kathy Earth. Miss Betty said, track her down. I pulled out my phone and called Kathy Earth. She answered the phone. The wife of the Speaker of the House in Pennsylvania. She is now 89 years old. And she is happy that I'm here. She sounded good, but she's had some health challenges. So, what I did was last night, is my wife says, I found a mailbox. That was some good stuff. And I brought some of it here with me today, including some of the photographs that I'm sure Miss Betty would have wanted from one of the fundraisers. And also, 27 and a half years ago, I stood in this very space in honor of my mom, the late Bertha May Petit, and Nancy Harriet Lee. Yes. And I have a program from that day, from back in April 21st of 1995. Nancy Lee was 90 years old. And my mom passed away at 68, the same age that I am now. And I also found a very important letter on the University of Pittsburgh letterhead, dated November 19, 1987. And it says, in part, American Heritage Classroom Committee, Walter C. Worthington, Chairman, Nancy Lee, Campaign Coordinator. Dear Mrs. Petit, we have learned that you are interested in becoming a member of the African Heritage Classroom Committee, which is in the process of establishing its classroom in the Cathedral of Learning, University of Pittsburgh. Your interest is deeply appreciated, and we welcome you to the regularly scheduled meetings on the General Committee. In close, you will find prepared material which gives some background information. Signed, Diana McGant. And that was dated November 17, 1987. Then I ran into a copy of the bylaws. And I ran into all the efforts that were made in order to make this possible. They had to raise $100,000 back then for this room. And they raised all that money in the black community. But they found out that an additional $50,000 was needed. And they raised that money. And as a result, fast forward to today.
So I have to stop you. They raised that money through Mom asked Letty Hayden, who was at Gulf Oil at the time, remember? And they had a big event, and then after that, the university, they became an official part of the university. Oscar, listen, what I want to ask you is, would you be willing to share all of this stuff with Kati and with the Carlton, so it can become a part of the archives? Would you give us copies? And of course, your membership is activated. Everyone in this room, your membership needs to be activated, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And in closing, I know my life is much better as a result of having known Betty Tilman. Betty Tilman was a woman of steel and a woman of velvet. She was truly a no-nonsense person. She was a community organizer. She was everything, and I'm sure she has touched the lives of many of you that are sitting here today as she has touched my life. And I'm thankful and grateful for this opportunity to be able to share with you today.
All right.
Right there, just with Oscar, just right here. Come right here with this picture while we're bringing the next speaker on. Kati, really quickly here, move with Carlton. Oscar.
What we're about to do now, what you were doing now.
Right down here. Right down. Keep talking.
We're about to do the special gift presentation to the African Heritage Classroom Committee. With Dr. Kenneth A. Love, producer Kenneth A. Love, and National University of Pittsburgh alumni, former cultural house president.
Wait, just stay right there, please, for Ken. We're going to give Ken the microphone. Ken, where are you? Okay.
I'm going to talk without a microphone. Can everybody hear me back there? Raise your hand if you can hear me.
We can hear you, Ken.
You can hear me in the back. Okay.
I want you to be in there with the picture because your presentation.
Let me talk. I want to.
Perfect. No, you need to be there, Ken. Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Talk, Ken.
Talk.
Yeah.
I have my notes over here. Okay.
Oh, tell us about the Ken.
Let me tell you about this. Betty brings the light. I used to call her Miss B, brings the light into the room. This kente cloth that I got with our food money from the Intercultural House in 1971 has been in my drawer for 50 years. It has never been worn, it has never been touched. This was at a time when no one knew what kente cloth was. And it just appealed to me, the texture. I was photographing it, and the fact that Betty brought this out of the darkness, hopefully to be seen by people at the classroom, is what she's about. So I'm honored to have this kente cloth. It's a treasure, and it's pristine. So I
want to make sure I get a nice picture with you, Kati, right? Okay. Yeah, everybody. I know Jordan's getting it, but I want to get it to, I have to send it to John Butler and Tita immediately.
John. Okay.
And where's Brandon?
Brandon?
Brandon Jennings.
Where's Brandon? Oh my gosh, come on up here, Brandon. Thank you. What, Ken, stay
I just
there.
quoted my speech.
Oh, you're
Awesome, everlasting picture of our beloved
Hold on one second. Here we go. Who that over there?
over a little bit so we can see them. You know what really struck me about this picture was, Brandon, I know that you have a word or two you want to say. We'll smile while you talk.
I was inspired to do this painting because Miss Betty was my buddy. Yeah, let me have a mic.
Now he's got to be official.
Miss Betty was my buddy. We spent a lot of time together. I worked for Melony back in 1990 at McGant Brothers Incorporated. That's where I met Miss Betty. And we spent a lot of time talking, but most of the time was in the car because I would always take her
You just
home.
worked with me. You didn't work for me. We were a team.
Okay, you're interrupting. So, but Miss Betty and I, that's when we had our long, profound discussions about life, love, family, religion, art, and she inspired me to start collecting African art. So this painting right here is Mother Africa, because she visited various countries on the continent. She was my mom. So I'll miss you, Miss Betty, my baby.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm done.
You're done? We got a picture, right? Who's next? No, he just did his thing. Did you have something else you want to do?
Yes,
I want to bring Letty Hayden and Tita into the room. So Letty is a really mom's good friend, and for the first, when the room opened up in 1989, Letty was Grand Marshal, right? Many of you here know Letty, but Larry, why don't you come on up and take us so you'll be right here. We'll have the microphone here. Larry Glasso, I told you, was the designer of the room. Tim is here, but I think it's appropriate at this time, after you say quickly what you want to say.
I'd rather depart because I'd rather do it without it.
It's
okay. I think
okay.
fine.
Okay, so I just want to speak as a representative of the Intercultural House that I was privileged to be at. A drop in the bucket of all the people that Betty's lives touched. The Intercultural House was the first house in the United States of America where African Americans and whites lived together, learned together, grew together, and partied together. And boy, did we party. We went to Africa. My mentors, Miss B, as I called her, John Butler, Dr. Ray Primus, made possible my film career. I was able to make One Shot, The Life and Times of Teenie Harris, the Pittsburgh Courier, Thad Mosley, George Barber, and currently, Mr. Stevens, I've never met you, but I'm working on a film on Freedom Corner from the dedication of Freedom Corner, which is footage that I forgot I had, and you were marching down the street with Esther Bush, and you were saying a few words, and the plan is to show it at Freedom Corner. So when we talk about...
I forgot to mention Bill Tita as first director of the Intercultural House.
Yes, but I have Carl.
Oh.
So terms about legacy, my son made a documentary on Frank Bolden.
So listen, Ken, I want you to go on, but look.
I'm just going to be really quick.
Okay, listen, there's a wedding coming in here.
I'm fun. I can be done by now. And what was wonderful, Frank, when Daniel invited Nancy and Frank down to Duke University to talk about his knowledge, everything from jazz to civil rights to everything. And Daniel introduced Nancy and Frank as his grandparents. And everybody took it naturally. And I'm very proud of him, and that's it.
Thank you. So
course.
President? Okay, good. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's right. Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to mention one incident, I think very revealing, with Betty Tilman. You know, in designing the African classroom, I was chair of the design committee, and we'd gone through a lot of iterations, a lot of ideas, a lot of controversy over what that room was going to look like, what it was going to consist of, what it was going to contain, what it was going to represent. Finally, we came up with what we thought was a good design. It turned out to be the design that the room took. And one evening, Betty called and said she wanted to come over to my house to see this design, to see the drawings. I knew this was like an audition for whether this thing was going to fly. Betty came in very serious. I remember she came up in our sunroom. My wife was there, pulled out the designs. Betty looked them over, and she didn't say much. But that was the sign that Betty was approving. And so when we had our next committee meeting, the design passed. So I know Betty had been on the phone and talked to the members, because there were all sorts of ideas about what should and should not be in that room. But Betty, I think, was the turning point. She's the one who sold the design to the members of the classroom committee. I'm always grateful to her for that.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to do this now because we're going to, Carlton, really quickly, right? Because yes, give the mic. I'll give it to Carlton. And then, okay. And then, you know, Oba, Amy, we're going to do this. We're going to go outside. And we can take a group picture outside, okay? Right, because we're going to have to get out of here. There's a wedding coming in, and we're running a bit over. Okay, Tim, you can say 2 words after Carlton.
I just want to quickly say thank you for affording me the opportunity to just say a few words about what it means to support the African Heritage Classroom. The African Heritage Classroom symbolizes the creation of great African civilizations that many are even unaware existed. It symbolizes the struggle and perseverance of African descendants on all fronts. It symbolizes the importance of cultural memory and the power of knowing who you are and the influence your ancestral culture has had on the world. It is also a symbol of potential, the seemingly limitless ways we can, in a word, remember, meaning to never forget and also to make whole. Scholars often talk about the thousands of years of history that existed before the transatlantic slave trade, and why it is important for African descendants to understand and share that history. The African Heritage Room endeavors to do that. As chair of the African Heritage Classroom and executive director of the Intercultural House, I'm honored to be a part of 2 significant parts of Betty Tilman's legacy, and to see and hear the profound effect she's had on so many lives. Others like Miss Betty Tilman and so many others who are represented today fiercely advocated for and raised money for the establishment of the African Heritage Classroom. Their passion, pride, perseverance, and vision can be felt upon entering that room today. I want to end with a quick story. I recently spoke with an elder about the room, and he made reference to the wooden door that was made in
That was Luddy Hay.
That was Luddy Hay.
Okay. Bring him in.
He talked about all the times he went to Africa and seeing the impact of seeing the slave castles and the door of no return, which referred to the opening that led to the sea. Once the enslaved went through that door, they never returned home. I found that shared experience particularly moving because, as with Luddy, the committee sees the door of the classroom as a door of opportunity, regardless of the direction we're going. We see it as our opportunity to have our elders pass down their knowledge, wisdom, work ethic, and other practices to the next generations, as elders did with them. It is the spirit of that transaction that we are celebrating today. We hope this celebration brings a renewed energy to seek out those who we can support, motivate, and mentor, and watch them achieve excellence, as Betty Tilman did with so many others. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Kim Stevens, Jennifer, go ahead and say what you want to say, but I just want to say, if we want and chat for a minute. Go ahead, Timmy.
She wants me to stand beside this beautiful picture my friend Brandon created. Gorgeous. Betty Tilman was the epitome of what Reverend
I should say that Timmy for a long time was the president of the NAACP, and that he is the founder of Black Political Empowerment Movement, and it's a movement shaping the city. Go ahead, Timmy.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I met Betty, I believe it was 69 or something around that time.
Bring
And
comment to the room.
she introduced me to Dr. Nathan Davis. And because of that, he ended up doing some musical arrangements when I was recording in the early 70s. And he told me sometime later that those were some of the most beautiful arrangements he ever did. Her mom was the epitome of what Reverend Dr. Johnny Monroe said when I considered running for the presidency of the NAACP. He asked the question, are you a thermometer or thermostat? Are you one who tells the temperature, or are you one who sets the temperature? And all that we've heard today, this lady was a living thermostat for change. She just moved everybody. Whatever they needed to do, she helped. What didn't need to, let's say, what wasn't happening, she caused to happen. A living thermostat for change, and her spirit remains and will always be with us. My pleasure to call her my friend.
Well, Ahmed, you missed it. Go ahead. We're walking out. Will we start? Okay. All right, so our honored guests will file out first to the back. Okay, after. Okay. They'll come with you? Okay.
Well, we all gonna come. Starting with the head. Our goal is to give honor here. I'm gonna be here, then you can walk out. And same thing for you. You come, you all give honor, and then we walk out. And we're gonna sing. I'm saying, Bosisi Keleli, Mama Africa. Bosisi Keleli. Do you say Mama Betty? All right? Mama Africa and Mama Betty. Is that all right? All right. All right. And you clap your hands. Bosisi Keleli, Mama Africa. Bosisi Keleli, Mama Betty. Sing. Bosisi Keleli, Mama Africa. Oh, Bosisi Keleli, Mama Betty. Ah, Bosisi Keleli, Mama Africa. Bosisi Keleli, Mama Betty. Ah, Bosisi Keleli, Mama Africa. Ah, Bosisi Keleli, Mama Betty. Bosisi Keleli, Mama Betty. Oh, Bosisi Keleli, Mama Betty. Ah, Bosisi Keleli, Mama Betty. Bosisi Keleli,
On the glory.
Anybody left their umbrella? Anybody's umbrella?
Your wife did.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
How softly,
I think the best way to go is I'd be ready to move on to somebody.
Kim. And he also works for a big Presbyterian church over in East Liberty, the old line and the budding one, doing a lot of their audio setup and stuff like that. Okay, I will do that.
Kim L.
Yes. I was just saying, welcome on your
We are on now. And I'm going to switch the camera around.
Oh, here I am. Thank you.
Hey, how it was?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. If you knew Betty Tilman, you would feel all of her energy here on the Pitt campus. Thank you, Dawn, for making sure we got this streamed to everybody. Let me take my glasses off. Hey, you see all these people? They love her. The spirit is on the campus. Yes, yes. All praises to the Creator for taking her up and bringing her spirit down to us.